Hello and welcome to another Get On With Maths video. In this video in our Gradu8 series we can have a look at expanding triple brackets. Before you start, if you haven't already watched expanding single brackets or expanding double brackets, then I really do suggest you have a look at those videos first because they're going to really help you out with the things you need to do on this one. When you're ready, pause the video, have a go at the 8 questions and then we'll go through them together. So pause the video now and have a go. Okay, if you can hear me now, then hopefully you've paused the video, you've had a go at the 8 questions, and now we're going to have a chance to go through them. So what I will say before we start any of these is they take quite a lot of work-ins. It doesn't mean that they're difficult, it just means that we have to do a little bit more writing than perhaps we would normally do to solve a maths problem. It's all very functional though, it's just jumping through hoops, going through steps, and figuring out what we need to do. So once I've gone through the first few questions, what I'll do to speed things up a little bit is I'll skip a couple of the stages. Well, I'll still explain them, but rather than write them all up to cover the screen in loads and loads of workings, okay? So, if we start on this one up here, you've got to expand the following. You've got x plus 2, or a plus 2 rather, a plus 3, and a plus 4. Whenever you see a triple bracket question, what I want you to do is I want you to cover up the final bracket. So, for me, I'm going to cover up this a plus 4, and instead I'm just going to work out and pretend it's a double brackets question. So a plus 2 and a plus 3. For me to do that then, I'm going to expand and I'm going to just draw arrows like I've already explained in the expanding double bracket series, and I'm just going to work out what's going to happen to these when I expand them. So a times by a to give me a squared, it multiplies by 3 to give me 3a, and then 2 multiplies by a to give me 2a, and then 2 multiplies by 3 to give me 6. Now, I'm going to simplify that. Okay, so I'm going to go a squared, and then it's going to be plus 5a plus 6. Right, now you've got that, you're already going to have picked up some marks, but what we want to do is, now we've expanded the double, is the thing you covered up before, so this a plus 4, you're going to uncover it now and you're going to whack it on the end of this one here. Okay, so a plus 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do now then is we're going to go and have a look at, and I'll change the colour for this, expanding this expression here by what's in the bracket over here. So just like you've done with double brackets, draw your arrows, take your time, and then we'll see what we get. So a squared is going to times by a, and that's going to give you a to the power of 3. You're then going to do a squared by 4, and look how messy this is getting already. Okay, so a squared times by 4 is going to be 4a squared. So that means you've done a squared by both of these things. Now you're going to take the 5a and you're going to times that by a. So you're going to get 5a squared. So 5a squared. You're then going to do 5a by 4, which is going to give you 20a. So that's 20a. And then you're going to do 6 by the a, which is going to give you add 6a. And then you're going to do 6 times by 4, which gives you 24. So there's loads going on here, okay? Like loads. You can already see from my workings all the different arrows, all the different colours to work through this one. But just to recap the stages we're at so far, I expanded this double brackets, that's hidden beneath here. I simplified it, that's really, really important. If you don't simplify it, you're going to double your workload. I then uncovered this a plus 4, put it on the end here, and I've just expanded everything. So obviously you've got a really, really long expression now. I'm going to try and simplify it. So I've got a to the power of 3. I've got 4a squared plus 5a squared, so that's going to give me 9a squared. I've got 20a plus 6a, so that's going to give me 26a. Wow, look at all this working. And then to finish off with, you've got that plus 24. So, loads and loads of steps. You can see I'm barely fitting it all in there, but all we did to start with, just to recap it, we expanded the double brackets. We forgot this existed for a second. Then we simplified our answer. That's what's happened here. We put that bracket on the end there. There's the a plus 4. And then we drew our arrows and we just expanded it out step by step, and I listed them all and then I simplified at the end. So if we think about this question up here then, if I were to expand these two brackets, and I am going to speed this up a little bit now, if I were just to expand these two brackets here, that would give me an answer of a to the power of 2 plus 7a plus 10. And that's me expanding out this double bracket here. Okay, I've just not drawn all the arrows, I've just done it really quickly so you can see it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my a plus 3. And then what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to show you the arrows, but I'm going to show you them slightly more clearly. So your a squared multiplies by your a, and that gives you a to the power of 3. Write it if you haven't got it as we go through. Then your a squared is going to multiply by your 3. So this here, watch, has gone by this one, and it's gone by this one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change the colour again. This time I'm going to do that 7a, and I'm going to multiply that by a, and then I'm going to do 7a, and I'm going to multiply it by 3. So to start with, that's going to give me 7a squared, and that's going to give me 21a. And then the last bit then, and if we choose colour we've not used for this one, red, I'm going to do 10 by the a, which is going to be 10a, and then 10 by 3, which is going to give me 30. So by doing that, okay, I will have expanded all of those out, and you'll have them in a really, really long line. So what you should have written down for your line of workings is a to the power of 3 plus 3a squared plus 7a squared plus 21a plus 10a plus 30. So it's loads and loads and loads. But when you simplify it, okay, you're going to have a to the power of 3 plus, that is a plus sign I promise, 10a squared because you've simplified them, plus 31a because you collected up your 21a and your 10a, so 31a, and then you've got 30 on the end. Alright, so that just expands out for all of those. Right, to speed this process up then, because hopefully you've got it, it's fairly self-explanatory, I'm just going to go through the answers to the following. Now, be aware that you've got a negative sign in here, you've obviously got some negatives down here, you just really, really have to be careful with your negatives. So, when you've got your final answer for this one, you should have a to the power of 3, my 3's are getting a bit more dramatic, aren't they, plus 5a squared minus 2a minus 24. If you hear any rustling in the background, I think that's Barbara the hamster trying to get involved with some expanding triple brackets. So, moving on to this one, we're going to expand all of these out, make sure you've got your workings, but in your workings you should have a to the power of 3 minus 2a squared minus a squared minus 2a minus 12a plus 24, which when you bring all of that together, you're going to have a to the power of 3 minus 3a squared minus 14a plus 24. Okay, so that just goes along there. If we move on to the next section over there, and Barbara the hamster is now quite literally next to me as we go through these, which is always a little bit awkward. Hello, Barbara. When we go through this one over here, then you've got negatives going all the way along. So just make sure when you expand them out, then you can work through them perfectly. So for this one, you're going to have a to the power of 3 minus 9a squared plus 26a minus 24. That's a 26a in there, minus 24. If at this stage you're looking at this and you've got some of your negatives and your positives changed around, then what you need to make sure is that you can figure out if they should be negative or positive. Just go back through, check your expansions, and make sure that they're okay. The hamster is now climbing all over my workings. This is why you don't film with animals, everyone. So on this next one then, you've got another triple bracket. You're just going to expand this one out. So remember, expand a double bracket, cover up the last one, and then go from there. So what your line of working should say is a to the power of 3 minus 5a squared minus 3a squared plus 15a minus 10a and plus 50. So when you simplify all of that, because I appreciate that's loads of numbers to remember, you should have a to the power of 3 minus 8a squared, and my handwriting's definitely getting worse, plus 5a plus 50. Okay, that's 50. Okay, so hopefully you've got the steps and the stages. If I'm going too quickly at this point, you can go back and watch my first two examples to hopefully try and get a little bit more understanding of how you do these. Remember, expand these first two, cover up the last one, and then go from there. So for this one, you're going to have a to the power of 3 plus 6a squared. So that's 6a squared minus 24a and then minus 64. Okay, and this last one then, expand out this first one here, so a minus 3 and a minus 3. So you're going to have a to the 3 minus 3a squared. I'll just change that into a slightly more recognisable minus sign. Minus 9a and plus 27. Okay guys, so slightly less explanation than normal for these ones today. The reason I've done that is just because there's so much lines of workings here. This video would probably be about 40 minutes long if we went through every single one. What I really do recommend you do, okay, is go back through, have a look at those first two examples I did, make sure you can expand those first double brackets, and then maybe use a different colour pen like I did, and expand and sort of draw your arrows across as you go into that third bracket. If you've got any questions at all, come and speak to me, Mr. Hussey, send me an email and we can go through any of these. Make sure you check out the other videos in our Gradu8 series, and thanks for watching, guys.